Hello and welcome back. Before we get to part 2, Real Talk, please allow us to fulfill our capitalistic duty and plug our Patreon, the Contrarian Supplements.
That's right. For a small fee, you too can help the Contrarians rage on.
We have tiers ranging from just $1 to $10. It all depends on how much content you can handle.
Starting at $1, it's the Travoltis tier, which gets you access to new bonus episodes focusing on a new movie every month, as well as access to the patron chat. Join other patrons in making fun of our opinions.
Moving up to $3 is the Winonis tier, which unlocks access to our pre-recording notes, our video reviews, and our spin-off show, Contrarians After Hours.
That's a more laid-back space where we talk about other things we've been watching, reading, playing, thinking about. Sometimes it's related to the movies being covered in the main feed, but it usually isn't.
If you want to be part of those patrons who help us shape the show by telling us which movies to tackle, that's when you sign up for the $5 tier, the Embries, and the $10, the Gads.
Finally, all supplement subscribers, regardless of the tier, get access to our archive of special patron projects. Head over to patreon.com/contrarianprime now to join.
Be sure to listen through the end of the episode to find out what's coming up to the Contrarian Supplements this month. Now, it's time for some Real Talk.
Sit down, sport. Second feature. About to start.
Step too close. We could move it back a little if you like.
No? Okay. We'll start the show. Now, here's the star of our picture, little Cynthia Fraser, who hadn't the foggiest idea what the fuck is going on. This is where the credits would be. Slick Entertainment Incorporated presents Tit in the Ringer, or how Harry Mitchell agreed to pay $105 a year and found happiness. Note I said $105 a year, not just the first year, not just the second, but every year for the rest of your life.
I just want you to talk into the camera here.
Some people, you gotta tie down to convince them they can act.
Come on, honey.
Well, Julio, hit me with it. We don't have to go into details yet, but the suspense is killing me. Did you like this or not?
I did.
Excellent.
I have one major reservation that we'll get to, but overall, I had a really good time until I didn't. But it's what I would normally expect from an Elmore Leonard movie at just the base level. Obviously, they're really good Elmore Leonard adaptations, and they're just basically standard Elmore Leonard adaptations. And this was somewhere in between, so it was good. The worst thing that could have happened is that the movie could have ended, and I would have scratched my head and thought this was an Elmore Leonard novel. But that wasn't the case.
Yeah.
And yes, I think that it's better than Ricochet.
All right, well, hold on. Two things can be true. Both those movies can be good. I assume your reservation largely centers around the one part that I was like, well, so we'll get to that here in a bit. As I mentioned, a flop in its time, but a weird, just based on my research, finding... I saw a YouTube video that was like a breakdown of like why it didn't do well, but in recent years it's becoming more of like a hit and more appreciated. And I found a few different pieces I read written on the movie itself from the past few years that speak to kind of how it fell through the cracks, but praise it for being such a gritty and sleazy. One of the articles I read did describe it as sleaze, and I don't think that's incorrect. But it's a movie that, for all the parts in it and for how kind of batshit it is kind of surprising we had never heard of it. Unfortunately, that happens over time. A lot of movies fall through the cracks, and this didn't even take over the time. That $5 million off an $8 million budget back in 86. Even with, John Frankenheimer was the name. He had been on a bit of a skid in the years leading into this. But Frankenheimer, Roy Scheider, Anne Margaret's in it. The Leonard novel aspect is there. It just it wasn't a movie people cared to see. But I had a fucking blast with the vast majority of this movie.
Did you know going into it, because you made this entire journey for our summer. So when you picked up 52 pickup, did you know about this element of like the Frankenheimer Roy Scheider element, or did you get to it because of the Was it Vanity?
Well, Vanity is not a pornographic actress. That needs to be stressed. I don't want her to get lumped in with that. She did not do pornography.
Oh, okay. Well, then I completely misunderstood. When you were listing her numerous talents in Contrarian's Corner, I assumed that you didn't mention porn movies because that was a given.
Oh, no. Vanity was like I said, she was just a celebrity that could have only really existed in the 80s. She was Prince's girlfriend. That was a big part of it too. But no, the porn ties into the party scene, and we'll
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, can you blame me?
She is a stripper in this movie, and you do see her naked. So
Okay, but then how did you get to this movie? Was it just you did a search for movies with porn stars, and this one was kind of like at the top because of the conglomeration of porn stars in that scene?
I honestly don't remember how I came across this, but Tom Byron is one of the male pornographic actors who's at the party. When I saw him, I was like, hey, that's Tom Byron. I think the thing you would find funniest about Tom Byron, Julio, is he played the dude in the Great Lebowski porn parody.
That's amazing.
I've never seen that, but I have seen like the DVD cover of him in the really bad wig and, goatee to look like fucking Jeff Bridges. It's very funny. I somehow came across that years ago, that Tom Byron was in a movie directed by John Frankenheimer, and I never watched it, and I never looked really into the movie because I was like, I'm going to keep this in my back pocket one day. I'll be able to circle back to this. So I had no idea how big or small the role was. But yeah, the party scene itself, from what I could find, the idea behind it was really wanting to capture like the genuine sleaze of the 80s porn scene as it was at that point in time. And so the party goers at that party they're not really acting. That's a lifestyle that they're familiar with. And I'll go down the whole list of the players involved here momentarily, and also the findings pertaining to this movie and their roles in it. But yeah, this one was too easy, Julio. There wasn't like an actual role in this where you could have been confused. It is a sex-based movie. It's a sexual crime. Would this have fit into our erotic thrillers arc?
Maybe.
If we got kind of loose and fast with it?
Yes, I mean, because there is that element of sexuality is all there throughout the entire story, but this is more like our sexy thrillers. There was, look at me talking about it like in a wistful way, like they were a high point of the movies we watched. They were more, I don't know, maybe because fucking Showgirl. Okay, we did Jade, Showgirls, Crash, and Indecent Proposal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this would have fit. I mean, why not?
Yeah.
I was going to say no because this is more of a crime thing, and the sex stuff is kind of like in the background, but not really driving the plot. Whereas in all those other movies, like Jade, there's a thriller where the killer and the main suspect, could have been somebody that was using sex as a weapon or as a release, and then Indecent Proposal is all about sex.
It's still sex.
Yeah.
For money. And then Crash, of course, sex with a fetish, and Showgirls is fucking Showgirls. So when you compare them to those movies,
a bad movie.
Yes. You compare this is a movie about, blackmail and infidelity, and there's nudity, and there's there's a porn theater.
Have to navigate through the seedy underbelly of the Los Angeles porn scene.
Yes, but I don't think that sex actually drives the plot. It's just more of
a fair point.
That's on top of it.
It's there.
Yeah. It's funny, though, that this movie features a porno theater pretty predominantly in that big sequence with John Glover, and where John Glover and Roy Scheider face off for the first time. And our last episode, Rabbit, also had a big sequence in a porno theater. Are we going to accidentally have a run of movies that feature porno theaters in their plots? Because that would be amazing.
Stay tuned is all I'll say.
How's the show?
What?
The movie, is it any good?
Beautiful. 5 bucks.
All right, before we get to the rest of it, Alex, I have some fresh quotes,
Yes,
including
sir.
Roger Ebert's as a closer. But let's start with Matt Brunson from Film Frenzy, who says 52 Pickup is about as sleazy as a mainstream movie can get. The natural reaction after watching it is to take a shower. But the movie features not one, not two, but three memorable villains.
No lie. And worth calling out now, Clarence Williams III as Bobby Shy was so good in this that he would link back up with John Frankenheimer for the other Frankenheimer entry in Contrarian's canon. That's right, Reindeer Games. He was along with Donnell Logue, one of the guys in the ensemble.
Well, next time I watch Reindeer Games again.
He's the guy that fucking
Christmas.
Ben Affleck lights on fire.
God damn, that's awesome. I love that he went from, I mean, I guess it wasn't a straight line from 52 Pickup to Reindeer Games, but at some point he met back up with Frankenheimer and they decided to play the magic again.
There you go. This are Reindeer Games. Which one do you enjoy more?
Oh, man. This was more engaging. I haven't seen Reindeer Games since we did it on the show, so it's been a long time.
But Reindeer Games had Dennis Farina in it.
Right. Reindeer Games was just so ridiculous that I could laugh at it. I was not laughing at this movie.
Yeah.
You know, it made me laugh at points, but for the most part, I was just kind of like, oh, what's going to happen next? All right. Sean Burns from Crooked Marquee says, what sets it apart from countless other tawdry thrillers of its era are the film's ruthless efficiency and astonishing cruelty. This movie has a mean streak a mile wide.
There is, like, for as ridiculous in 80s as it is, down to the music and the fashion and the split diopter obsession, like, there is a cynicism about it that is unrelenting. Does that work? That's a different discussion. But there is a level of cruelty to this that does not exist in some of the contemporaries.
I think, and we'll get into this, but when Josh Larson was talking about mismatching of sensibilities or whatever he said on that quote, I think that I would approach it through this angle more than anything. That Elmore Leonard stories, in my I guess fairly limited experience, because I've read, I don't know, maybe 5-6 of his novels, and I've seen, you know, just as many movie adaptations, and I feel like they're always very violent, and the people in there are always very you know, you would call them cruel, some of his villains, maybe even some of his protagonists, but it never feels like the movie is cruel. And this movie feels like it crosses that line. Like the mean streak goes from just being from the characters to being from the filmmaker in a way. And yes, that can be an asset or it can be a drawback. And so I think but that would be the main takeaway as far as like, oh, was Frankenheimer the right choice for this? Or maybe we needed somebody with more of a sense of humor. Because that's the other thing, like the Elmore Leonard movies that I watch, they kind of seem to know that they're very silly, even though they take themselves seriously. So we'll talk about this. We're going to close with Roger Ebert, as promised, Chicago Sun-Times. He says, a movie is only as good as its villain. John Frankenheimer's 52 Pickup provides us with the best, most reprehensible villain of the year and uses his vile charm as a starting point for a surprisingly good film. Why surprising, Roger? Elmore Leonard and John Frankenheimer. This should be what you expect.
Yeah, Ebert, if I read correctly, gave it 3.5 stars upon its release.
He was a big fan, which, you know, I know we've made this point before. When you watch as many movies as he would have had to watch throughout his career, whenever something surprises you, I think you get brownie points.
Yeah.
And so for him to maybe walk into this expecting a run-of-the-mill thriller, and instead he finds this performance from John Glover and from the villains in general, and just the unashamedly nasty disposition from the movie overall, that probably made it memorable to him. And so it didn't surprise me that there's things from Ebert's reviews that sometimes, you know, gave me pause, but not this one for sure.
He also noted that it was Frankenheimer's best in several years. So I think there could have been the element too that it kind of caught him by surprise.
Oh yeah. Just welcome back.
Yeah.
Is it his best until Reindeer Games?
You want to hear about some job of mine? I want to see some goddamn hot chocolate. And some pecan fucking pie.
Where to start with this movie, Alex, before you start giving me the rundown of the porn
tie-in.
constellation in
Yeah.
here. Do you think, staying with this like nasty streak from the movie, do you think it's an asset or a drawback that Roy Scheider is kind of a piece of shit in the movie? Like the character, not the actor.
I think it makes the movie more interesting. It obviously makes you as the viewer, the feelings a bit more complicated. I think it, for me personally, makes it more engaging. I understand how some viewers it could kind of complicate the feelings you have towards the character, and how invested you are in wanting to see them, win and make it. His choices also, unfortunately, put Aunt Margaret, a completely innocent person, in all of this, in some really bad situations and whatnot. But I think just as far as like a story, it makes it more interesting, and also from the character perspective, we see him realizing he fucked up and at a certain point wanting to set things right, make things right, because he kind of fucked everything up for everybody, being his wife, and also the guilt he has around Cindy, which I've never heard. Is it Cynthia? Cindy was her name?
Cynthia. I
Yeah.
think it's Cynthia.
I don't know if I've ever heard that nickname or shortening of Cynthia, but anyway, I think it works in his favor as an actor, because Roy Scheider, as we've seen repeatedly, is very good at playing a complex character, a kind of damaged character. It's the most interesting thing in Jaws 2, because Jaws 2 is not a good movie.
Roy Scheider making it a watchable movie.
It's true.
Same on the shark. Yeah, I think that, yes, it's a little bit of what I said in Concerns Corner, where him not being a good person makes it a lot more entertaining when bad things happen to him. But you're right that it eventually snowballs into bad things happening to other people because of him, and that's when it sucks. But overall, I was perfectly happy with this not being, I don't even know that it's a morality tale. It is just like a bad person gets fucked with by even worse people, and then he managed to come out on top. If the movie had ended with them getting the money out of him and just leaving, like the bad guys winning, without the and Margaret getting hurt, and I guess not even Kelly Preston, getting killed. If it was just like a cat and mouse game between people that were blackmailing this guy and this guy trying to get the best of them, and then at the end he loses, I would have been fine.
Yeah.
Him winning, I am okay with that too. But I never felt that I never felt that part that you just said, where he was doing it also to make it up to Kelly Preston or Anne Margaret. I kind of, through all of it, I just felt that was him doing it for himself, that to escape the consequences of his actions. So he doesn't want to pay because he wants to find a way to not pay them the money, and he wants to find a way to get revenge for the bad things they've done, but not because he necessarily cares. Like, and I don't know if that's the performance, or if that's just the way that Frankenheimer and Scheider wanted to present it. But he doesn't really seem that broken up by the death of Kelly Preston. He seems upset.
He seems
by
disturbed by like
Yes.
the whole setup and everything. Yeah,
exactly. And if anything, I would say if there's anger there, it's just anger at the fact that he's put in this position, but not that, oh my God, I really care for this woman and now she's dead because of me. When he reunites with Anne Margaret at the very end, it really rubbed me the wrong way that he had a quip ready to go. I understand it was the 80s, but he has his like hasta la vista baby moment right before John Glover blows up. And I was like, come on, man. Don't you see the state of your wife?
Yeah.
I understand there's also the trappings of it being a movie made in the 80s, and, that's just how it was. Like, he had to have a quip. So in that sense, I was like, man, couldn't you be just like a bit of a better person right here at the end?
Yeah.
But I agree overall. I mean, I think it's a better movie. It's a more interesting movie with him being just such a flawed character. And if he was just a really good guy that finds himself somehow being taken advantage of over and over by these people, it would be much more difficult to watch for me.
What do you think about Anne Margaret's performance?
I like her, but I just don't know. It's funny because I know her name, and then I was going through her filmography, and I was like, I have to have seen something else that she's in that I would remember, and I didn't. Like, I've heard about Carnal Knowledge forever, and I
You ever
still
seen
haven't
Viva
watched
Las
it.
Vegas?
No.
Ah.
Is that the Elvis movie?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I know you've told me about it. No, Grumpy Old Man is the one that I think that's why I knew her name, because she was kind of a.
But you know her deal from the 60s, right? She was like a sex symbol, heartthrob.
I mean, I know that because I remember that being the thing about her being in Grumpy Old Man.
Oh, okay.
But,
Okay.
yeah, but not as in something that I mean, obviously I didn't experience it in real time.
Yeah.
I'm old, but I'm not that old, Alex. But I think, have you seen more of her movies? Because you always bring her up with an enthusiasm that makes me think that you've seen more of her work.
Yeah, I've seen a few from back in the day. You ever seen Bye Bye Birdie?
Nope.
I don't know. These are the type of movies that would be on TV when I was a kid and watch them and just, vague familiarity with them. Just more of her as like an entity, the being that is Anne Margaret is what I'm familiar with. And also because we talked about it on our cabaret episode recently, there was another Kristen Wiig skit in which instead of Liza Minnelli unplugs a lamp, it was Anne Margaret throws a piece of trash away, and she just couldn't stop dancing and like would hold the trash in her hand. And instead of Jonah Hill, which was in the Liza one, it was Ed Helms, and it's playing like this fucking 60s style music, and she's dancing around, and it's like trash cans right there. You're hovering over it now.
And now, Anne Margaret tries to throw away a wad of paper into a trash can.
Let's make this happen.
I have never seen Carnal Knowledge, though, which is one of those blind spots that I feel like eventually needs to be covered.
Yeah, is it Nicholson?
Mhm.
That's opposite her. Yeah, I think it might have won somebody an Oscar, maybe screenplay. But I remember that movie coming up a lot in screenwriting classes.
Anne Margaret got nominated for Best Supporting for that.
Nice. When I was going down her filmography, I saw that she was in A Streetcar Named Desire, but it's not the Elia Kazan version, and it's not the other version I've seen, the one that had Alec Baldwin as Stanley Kowalski. This one, so Anne Margaret plays Blanche, Treat Williams plays Stanley. So the Marlon Brando role is Treat Williams, which alone makes me want to watch it. Beverly D'Angelo plays Stella, and fucking Randy Quaid plays
God
Mitch.
bless.
Yes. So this must have been direct to TV, but still, I think that might be like my next TV movie from 1984. Man, the poster, fucking Treat Williams with the sleeveless shirt and the tattoo and the Marlon Brando hairdo. Might need to track that down. But yeah, so I went in, I guess, kind of backrow blind when it comes to Anne Margaret in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought she was great. One of my favorite scenes, just two amazing scenes. One, when she walks in and finds John Glover in the living room. And even though he's doing most of the talking, the way that she reacts, the way that she handles it is great.
Yeah.
But even more so, the big confrontation when Roy Scheider confesses that he was cheating on her. Just every question, every comment she makes is just so pointed and so well delivered. And she just sells it. And how do you react to this? And there's a point where she says,
Maybe I've known for about a month. I've known. God, I wish you hadn't told me.
and I was like, man, that's such a complex thing to say in the way that she sells it. She's really good, which, again, preparing to when we get to the negative stuff, like it really bothers me that her character is just basically a hostage for the third act.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it.
Our villains, what'd you make of them?
I love John Glover. If you're a patron, you listen to our Gremlins 2 commentary, I had a lot of nice things to say about John Glover. I geeked out about him a lot. And I remember watching him in a couple episodes of Smallville. I like him. Was not ready for him to be as bad in a good way as he is in this movie.
Yeah, he's a nasty motherfucker in this movie, man.
The other two guys are good too, but of course he is the lead villain, so he gets to do everything. He's just he stays all the way to the end, and he's obviously the the brains of the operation, but he's kind of funny. There were times, one of my notes is that it felt like he was channeling Malkovich in the way that he spoke. Because obviously this is not how he speaks normally. I think that he was having a bit of an affectation in the way he delivers dialogue. I mean, you remember how he speaks in Gremlins 2, and of course he's putting on a voice there too, but this was just him playing a bad guy in a very specific way, and I liked it a lot. I thought that he walked that line that I mentioned in Contreras Corner about Elmore Leonard villains, and I guess most Elmore Leonard characters in general, where they can be competent and incompetent, depending on what's happening. So there are times where he's very much in control, like when he's showing the tape to Roy Scheider, at gunpoint, and he's so confident and whatever. And there are times where he's so off balance, like when Roy Scheider shows up at the projection booth.
All right, I was going to mention that scene because I love that so much when he looks up and sees him, because he wants to act surprised, but then has to keep up this facade like he doesn't know who he is. And he just kind of smiles at him, and then he has to think about what to say. And that whole sequence is fantastic.
Roy Scheider keeps going like, "Are you the guy?"
Yeah. You want to play what does he say? He's like, "You want to play surprise," or something like that.
Is this for you, or is it? I said, if you want to give it to me, that's fine, if you're sure. I want to hear you say it. All right, yeah, I'm the guy. Give me the money.
He is the most Elmore Leonard element, I think, in this movie. I guess the three villains are, but he's the one that stands out the most. Now, in real talk, I can say it is my official nomination for the Embryos just early on. This guy, I would be surprised if he doesn't make it at least to an honorable mention.
I thought Leo was awesome. The guy who played Leo, what was his name? Robert Trebor. I thought he was excellent. Just and so weaselly, and that part where he's like, "Hey man, you can't take my picture. Give that picture back. You can't take pictures in here."
When you see the picture that he took, it's
it's
perfect
so
too.
good, dude. Yeah.
Yeah, he's great too. I thought the first time that we see him without the mask when they're at the sex party, I thought that maybe there was a potential that he would get on my nerves because he was just so excited about everything and so happy. But then we get to see other sides of him. We see the professional side when he's running his business, and then
he's so happy when everything's going his way, but as soon as one thing goes bad, he falls apart completely.
Yeah,
and the jerky thing. It's funny because it's the same thing. He goes, "You want some jerky? It's good." Like he has to qualify that it's good jerky that he has.
Right. I'm not gonna give you the shitty jerky.
Yeah,
this is a good one. He's good too. If anything, if I have to rank them, I go Glover, Leo, and then Bobby, and not because Bobby is not good, but just because Bobby gets less dialogue, and the dialogue is really what makes it. And Bobby's just intimidating, and he plays it well. He's like really scary. What's his name? He's a junior, right?
Clarence Williams III. He is
not a junior. He's a third.
He's insane in this movie. I loved him. He was in my research because I thought that name was familiar. He was on the 70s Mod Squad show. You familiar with that?
I know the title. They made a movie, right?
Yeah. Who was it? Claire Danes?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So did you recognize him from Reindeer Games?
When I read it, I was like, "Oh yeah," and I was trying. He was just someone that I felt like I had seen in more things than I actually did, if that makes sense. You ever do that, where you see an actor and you're like, "Man, they look familiar," and then you look up their filmography. It's like, "No, I've only really seen him in like two things." But
oh yeah,
no, he's outstanding in this. I saw one of the IMDb trivia things was Vanity dated Prince, and in the movie, Clarence Williams III is dating Vanity. And Clarence Williams III played Prince's father in Purple Rain. Like, IMDb always has those really like shoestring like things that they tie together. I know it's not them; it's someone enters it in their trivia section. But anyway, I thought he was outstanding. And the scene. So this movie, the line it walks up to of brutality, and I use the word like cynicism and cruelty. The line it walks up to. The murder scene of Kelly Preston is really fucked up, but like that's like the line, and then the line is again walked up to in a really like tense way. The scene where he tortures Vanity, where he's like suffocating her. I thought that scene was great. It doesn't cross that line of cruelty I think we both are going to the same place. There's a part in this movie where Glover, Raimi drugs and sexually assaults Anne Margaret. You don't necessarily see it, but you know it happens. And also this is kind of the thing. It's just so 80s, and I don't know. It doesn't make it okay, but like it's the type of thing. If this was in a movie today, it would be like it was just the type of thing you and I'd see. Like this is inexcusable. This is lazy. So it's like the scene before, for like really no reason, they just established that Raimi's character had been convicted of rape before.
Yeah.
And then so you know when he's like, what is he doing? He's like sitting next to Anne Margaret as she passes out, and he just like takes his shirt off. So like it's obviously all implied. There's no like real brutal scene or anything like that, but it's so unnecessary. I think
unnecessary is the right word. That is the thing. And especially in, again, I'm going to qualify this by saying that my experience with Elmore
drugging
Leonard is
her with
limited.
heroin to subdue her is evil enough, brother.
Yes. Yeah. You don't need the sexual assault, because it just, and look, I am open to the conversation of like maybe how is it that I am nowhere near as upset by the scene where Bobby tortures Vanity, which I should be. I mean, I am, in a sense that it was really rough watching it, but when it was over, I was not offended
if I had to be the white male to tell everybody how to feel in the situation, I would say what makes that seem so rewarding is that she never breaks. And like, you know, it sucks that she has to get tortured in the first place, but she never breaks, and you know, he gets nothing from her.
I think that's part of it. I think that there's on a more like irrational level, maybe like at a more basic level, there is just something about the button that is pushed whenever sexual assault goes into the story that is just, I don't know, I'm not going to generalize and say that everybody reacts to it the same, but I think that for the most part, it's just something that, you know, you talk about crossing lines. I think that that's where the line is crossed. And especially because maybe the thing is, Alex, okay, this is me rationalizing it, maybe working it out, at least on my end. I think that if Vanity had survived this movie, there would obviously be like a trauma from having been tortured that way by Bobby. But in the end, yeah, she kind of walks away from it in, you know, that's kind of like where it ended. And I feel like the implication of sexual assault, especially in a movie where it doesn't mean anything.
Correct.
You know, it just feels, what you said, lazy, a button that didn't need to be pushed. And then you can't really kind of shrug it off from after it happens. And this movie doesn't, because yes, it was made in the 80s, and you know, the storytelling was different there, but she gets assaulted simply because they wanted to underline how much of a piece of shit John Glover was.
Yeah.
And then there is nothing that takes that seriously. You know, it's just a tool to give your villain like an extra shade of color. And that rubs me the wrong way. Like maybe if he had sexually assaulted her and then that had an impact on them, Anne Margaret and Roy Scheider as characters, I'm not going to say that I would have enjoyed it, or I would have like maybe it still would have bothered me, but I would have said, okay, maybe there was a point to it. But there's no point to it at all. There's no point. And I should be maybe glad that it's not graphic. You know, it's pretty graphic that he manhandles her and injects her with the heroin. You know, there's other movies from the 80s where we probably would have seen the assault, and that would have been just, you know, much, much worse. But it's still, it's bad. And it's not, he then references it when they're walking away. You know, he's already won. And it's like the movie, the filmmakers, they want us to hate him even more because he throws a line at Roy Scheider that seems to reference the fact that he assaulted her.
You got a fine bitch there. There's a lot of mileage on her, but she still cooks.
And Scheider doesn't even react. You know, instead, like I said, he has his own quip to throw back at him before he blows him up. That entire ending, like, it's awesome how Glover is defeated. I love the twist that, you know, he blows up the car, but I was soured on it, which is, it's a shame, because if it had ended on a high, then this movie would have been like something that I would remember much more fondly. But instead, what I can think of is like, God, they dropped the ball in the last 10 minutes.
Because it's so good that na, 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 na. It's one of those trappings of the 80s that I'm glad we've moved on from, because it's just one of those things that the idea is exactly what you said. We're just going to demonstrate how evil this guy is, but doing it in such a cavalier way of bringing up something that's like awful. And, the whole, if someone watching this had endured something like that in their lifetime, they're just reminded of it for no reason, because it doesn't impact the story at all. So certainly not something I'm making an excuse for. It was just a different era of filmmaking where which again, I'm glad we've moved on for, where like a writer would just be like, well, let's just do this to, put over the fact that he's a bad guy. It's obviously in a much different way, but it's what we always go on about, the killing animals or killing like a pet or something like that.
Yeah.
It's just it's an unnecessary trope that in most cases, I can guarantee you could find a way around it, or just a different way of doing it.
And I'll tell you this too. There are times when I'm watching movies that have similar sensibilities to this one, to 52 Pickup, where the movie has established that we're dealing with really bad people, like really nasty individuals, and I'll feel the other way. Not that I'm asking for sexual assault in my story, in my movie, but I will feel like, okay, like for example here, right? Like they went the extra mile to give you that line where the lawyer says, oh yeah, John Glover was in prison for rape. And then he has Anne Margaret at his mercy. And then you would think, if he didn't assault her or try to assault her, you'd be like, that's really weird.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, the fix there is you just don't even mention why he was in prison. You don't have to drop that line. And then I can believe that this criminal, as nasty as he is, he doesn't assault her because, in my mind, I'm watching an Elmore Leonard adaptation.
Yeah.
And again, in my limited Elmore Leonard experience, you never get there. Like, I can't think of a single instance of sexual assault in his stories. I know of attempted sexual assault. Like, remember the one that we saw that was the prequel to Jackie Brown? There's that whole subplot where they have Jennifer Aniston in that room, and there's the guy that's watching her that has like the hole in the wall.
Yeah.
And that eventually, leads somewhere, but it doesn't. Well, for one, there's no actual, she defends herself and then John Hawkes saves her or whatever. But then that leads to somewhere else. And so it doesn't feel gratuitous the way that it does here. So it makes me wonder if this is just something that they added in the movie, or if this is an instance where it was also in the original material and I'm not familiar enough with Elmore Leonard. And that's why it feels weird that it feels like it absolutely does not belong in an Elmore Leonard story, because we're having so much fun, even with all this sleaziness and how,
the movie's a blast. It's the one thing that brings you, for me, it was like the thing that brings you down. It's like, oh man, we didn't need that. Because the rest of the movie, like they said, the soundtrack, very RoboCop style, like and Terminator style synth that comprises a lot of the score. And again, to Vanity, I just wanted to mention, to stress again, she was not a pornographic actress. She was a Canadian singer known for her image as a sex symbol in the 80s. And in the 90s, she renounced her career as Vanity and became an evangelist. I knew her life was riddled with drug addiction. She had kidney issues from her decade-long cocaine addiction. Had to go get dialysis, get a kidney transplant, and her health just kind of worsened in the 20 years after that. And she passed away in 2016 at the age of 57 from kidney failure. It's really sad.
So young.
Very young. But anyway, she was pretty good. I mean, the character doesn't really call for much, but
I mean, she has to be comfortable playing that scene where she's not even dancing; she's just
taking her clothes off.
Yeah, stripping for Roy Scheider.
She has a really good line in that where Scheider's taking pictures and she goes, "How's it look?" And he says, "It's a little dark." And she says, "That's just me, baby."
Yes. And then he says, "This one was a little overexposed." And she goes like, "Oh, if you want overexposed, just wait till I take my panties off or something."
I think she dated Nikki Sixx, if I remember correctly. I just have this weird interest in a lot of pop culture in the 80s, and she's just kind of symbolic of that, I guess, in many ways.
You own an umbrella?
Yeah.
What kind of weather you use it in?
Rainy?
Close, baby. Close.
All right, I think we've rounded out our cast in full. Kelly Preston, really not enough to do in it, but yeah, that scene of watching her get shot is really fucking intense.
And recognizable on my end.
Yes, apparently.
I feel so dumb, but it happens sometimes. She's because the hair, she has the 80s hair, and I think that threw me off. And that's a really good scene. And see, that's also, man, again, I can foresee somebody telling me, "Oh, that doesn't upset you,"
Yeah,
because it's pretty cruel and violent and whatever. But I don't know, man. You know that we grew up with movies maybe that have made it a little easier for us to take violence in movies. So it's just
True.
I mean, there are lines again everywhere, and I've experienced them crossing when it comes to violence too. Like I told you on a Patreon after hours recently, I told you about that movie, the Aronofsky movie, the Caught Stealing, and that movie felt, maybe I was just extra sensitive that night when I went to see it or whatever, but that movie felt like it was violent in a pointless manner that was not entertaining to me. I've seen other people saying that it's really fun. So obviously the line lies in the eye of the beholder, or however you want to put it. But I know that I can be affected negatively by just excessive cruelty and violence or whatever. But in this case, I was just watching, I was like, yeah, this is fucked up. And I guess maybe also when I was watching it, I was not, until the very end, I was not 100% sure that it wasn't all, pretend to mess with Roy Scheider.
Yeah.
Did you know for sure when it was happening where you're like, oh, this is real? Or were you like me thinking she could be in on it? Because she was in on it at the beginning.
Yeah, what does he say? He's like, was the girl in on this? Says
Yeah.
she did what she was told. I thought it played really well, like a scene you would often see in a horror movie where someone thinks it's a put on and then they're slowly starting to realize these are all real moving parts. And I like audibly reacted to the reveal that he was sitting where she was killed. I was like, oh shit. Yeah. So I thought that whole scene was excellent, just really in a terrifying type of way,
It's really good at establishing them, the bad guys, also as really dangerous.
Really
Because it's
bad
one
people,
thing. Yeah. The first time that he meets them, obviously, yeah, they're armed and they seem to mean business, but they're just showing him a videotape of his own fuck up. And then this kicks it up several notches. They're actually murdering someone on camera just to make their point. So very open to any listener that wants to offer an alternative point of view and express how upsetting something like this is. As upsetting, how it could be as upsetting as what happens to Aunt Margaret at the end, and it would be very valid. But in this case, yeah, I just watched it and I was like, oh, that's fucked up. What else is going to happen?
Now, what we want you to see, sport, is that your tit is tight in the ringer. There ain't no way to pull it out.
So give me the rundown of those porn stars.
Yeah, I was getting everything prepped here. So adult film stars: Randy West, Tom Byron, Amber Lynn, Sharon Mitchell, Ron Jeremy, Herschel Savage, Erica Boyer, Barbara Dare, Cara Lott, and Jamie Gillis appear in the film during the party sequence. Tried to find anything I could in the way of information on why this was, and it seems like by and large it was just a decision from Frankenheimer and the people making the movie to give it the realism and the sleaze. I made the joke about it in the Contrarian's Corner. The people at that party, that's a situation they were used to. There's just I think a higher quality of film in the camera for what they were doing in that situation.
Higher quality of drugs.
Yeah. There's an article I was reading about 52 Pickup by Darren Franich. This is from September of 2024. It looks like a blog entry, actually, in a series about sleaze cinema, and just pointed out an interesting thing of the real-life porn stars cameo in the party scene. You remember that this is taking place during the cocaine and bullets era of Boogie Nights. It says, P.T. Anderson approached yesteryear's scuzz with grand ambitions and humane intentions. 52 Pickup simply is the scuzz. Which, look, you watching this, there's no way in hell you would have been like, hey, that's Tom Byron. You might have recognized Ron Jeremy and his just gross.
I did not completely missed him.
Yeah.
Does he have the mustache?
Oh yeah, but I mean, like at like most, you would recognize that. So it's not like something. It's there weren't many people then, now, or ever watching 52 Pickup going, oh hey shit, Amber Lynn. But I
Just the barrage of Leo memes pointing at the screen.
yes, but I just feel it's such an interesting artistic choice, like to really cast them, and I just to add to the realism. I think that's why when I saw that the Tom Byron was in a John Frankenheimer movie, it was like, how, why, and so now it makes a lot more sense. Kind of focusing, I mentioned Tom Byron, AVN Hall of Famer. He appeared in over 3,200 videos in his pornographic career, making him the most credited actor in the Internet Adult Film Database as of January of 2013. Also, oh my God, at the AVNs, he won best actor for his role as the dude in the Big Lebowski porn and XXX parody. Now I actually was digging into it, and I couldn't find like interviews or anything like this in terms of his thoughts from it, but he recalled being around Vanity on the set of 52 Pickup and alleged that she was jonesing for him and that he could have taken her home if he wanted, but he was too shy at that point in his life. And I found that he has a cameo where I was thinking about reaching out and asking, what it was like making 52 Pickup for the brief scene he was in. But then I scoured his social media a little bit, and he's a huge Trumper and not someone I want to give my money to. So, yeah.
Yes. Okay. You made the right call, sir. We're going to speculate instead.
Who knows? And then I found Amber Lynn. I just, again, trying to find whatever I could. I don't know why this made me laugh so hard, but I found, what do you call that? Throwback Thursday or whatever. There's some post on her Instagram account from 2019, and it's a picture of her right before she flashes the camera in the scene in the movie. And says, this is my scene from the movie 52 Pickup, directed by John Frankenheimer. I was honored to work on set with Anne Margaret Vanity and Roy Scheider, and he even pulled for me to get my SAG-AFTRA.
Aww.
I've always been grateful. Thank you. So, again, the type of thing I never even think of. Of course, fucking porn stars, especially at that point in time, couldn't get SAG or anything like that. And so the idea of working on set, that's how you pull it in. That's Paul White, the Big Show, man. He's been a pro wrestler for over 30 years, and he's made sure to keep his SAG card up to date so he gets that insurance, baby.
I love Frankenheimer just holding a huddle like with all the porn stars and just telling them about the benefits of joining SAG.
He's got like he's got the folders with the paperwork, and he hands them out to each of them, and then he has like the presentation, what you'll find in your folder.
Yes.
So this one definitely falls in the category of what we're doing is just kind of a random occurrence and an interesting little note to a largely fascinating film. Like I said, throughout this journey, it's going to range from little appearances like this to full-on leading performances like we started with, and we have yet to come. So, Julio, the question has to be asked. What are you giving this movie?
I've been trying to figure it out. I thought maybe once I got my reservations, my complaints out of my chest, I would feel better.
Oh, no.
I don't know that I do, but I also, I'm trying to be, this is real talk. I'm trying to be serious about it. And this is a really good movie with one
bad left turn that it takes.
Yeah, just a big misstep. I don't know how you reconcile that. I usually have a strong reaction, let's say, to the misstep, to where I go, fuck this, and I know pretty sure that this is like a 2-star movie at best. Or there are times where I can just be more charitable and really get into the forgiving mood of like, yes, it was the 80s, and this was just, it would have felt weird for them not to do it. And I'm not in either of those positions right now. I'm kind of like in the middle. I guess tentatively, I'm going to say 3 stars, acknowledging, letting people know that if they hadn't had that big, if they hadn't had the sexual assault plot point towards the end, this probably would be like 4, 3.5 at least. Because it was so much fun to watch. But I'm going to say 3, and let's see how I feel when I finally log it on Letterboxd. How about you, Alex? Is this better than Ricochet? As good as Ricochet? Not as good as Ricochet?
Oh, man. That's a loaded question. Or it's a tough question, rather, not loaded. I don't know if I like this as much as Ricochet. As bad as the bad guys are, there's no John Lithgow action in this, and there's not the Odessa moment. So,
you want to find out who really got the power? Bring your punk ass to the tower.
Yeah, but this makes so much more sense.
Yeah,
but, I mean, and not to say that things aren't ridiculous in this movie, but I think that Elmore Leonard and Frankenheimer thread the needle to where you don't think. It never made me think this is just nonsense, as opposed to, just listen to a Ricochet episode if you want to hear me talk about it. But all right, so what's the score?
So I gave Ricochet 4 stars, I believe, when I logged that, and so got to give it a little tick below. I'd probably say like a dead center B on this. I really liked it. 3.5 stars, and without that bad artistic choice, who knows where this could have landed. But I mean, it's a lot of fun. It's a good time, and again, having almost no knowledge about what I was getting into with it, I had myself a hell of a time. So I think the takeaway is we provided the trigger warning, as it were, but we both recommend this movie in the sense of it's a bit of a blast, and there's some acting performances in it that there's a lot to pull from. So better than Rabid, I would say.
Yes. Oh, yeah. No, easily. If you're in the States, also easy to watch because it's on Tubi. So just get a few commercials, but for the most part, they don't get in the way of the story. Also, if you haven't seen it, I would recommend Life of Crime, which we talked about on our Patreon channel a while ago. That's an Elmore Leonard adaptation, which I don't remember how much I gave it. At least I might have given it like 3.5, but that was a similar experience. I mean, it's not as violent as this one, and it has that extra level of fun of, we're watching the characters from Jackie Brown before Jackie Brown. But overall, it's just like there's a heist, a kidnapping, and there's like the quirky characters and the bad dudes, and it's kind of what I wanted from this movie. And I got it out to a point. So I just throw an extra recommendation to Life of Crime and to our Patreon conversation on it. So watch Life of Crime, then join our Patreon and do a search for Life of Crime. But that's it, Alex. Overall, positive with reservations when it comes to this movie. Are you interested, I guess, in watching The Ambassador?
Yeah, I've found myself that anytime I can watch a Donald Pleasance movie I've never seen, I'm not even kidding, that's like a real thing. Because, we have so much fun with Loomis, but Wake and Fright was a movie we were both really high on. Eye of the Devil is great. I've seen some really good shit from Donald Pleasance, so anytime I come across a movie of his that I have even a vague reason to try to seek out, I want to hop on it. So, yeah, I'm interested.
All right. Maybe in a future After Hours, we'll discuss it. Because, I'm curious, too. I'm curious about that. I'm curious about the book, but, the book might take me a little longer. You ready for the next chapter, Alex?
I am, as we move into episode 3 of From the Bedroom to the Box Office, B2B. We go back to the year of my birth. Did this movie come out before or after I was born? Just a few short months after I was born, Stephen E. D'Souza's The Running Man.
In the year 2017, an innocent man accused of a crime has a choice. Hard time or prime time?
Sensational. Perfect contestant. I want him.
Directed by Paul Michael Glazer, hit theaters with Arnold Schwarzenegger in the leading role. Jesse Ventura's in that movie, so you're almost guaranteed I'm going to do my Jesse Ventura impression at some point, so you got that going for you. And
Jesse Ventura was in Ricochet, right? That's the one that fights.
Hey, my
Lithgow?
God. Yes. They have like the fucking sword
Gladiator.
fight, the gladiator battle. Yeah. And this was Jesse's second movie. And this was following up on Predator, where he and Arnold, I guess, were boys for a period of time.
So Jesse Ventura returning to the Contrarians, Arnold Schwarzenegger returning to the Contrarians, Stephen D'Souza returning to the Contrarians, right? Didn't we joke at some point that we're going to have the D'Souza wing because we've had
yeah, definitely. I mean, just
a
going back
handful of his movies.
Brother, this is going to be the 4th Jesse Ventura movie that we've done.
Okay, what am I missing?
So we'll be doing The Running Man. We had Ricochet, we had Demolition Man, and we had No Holds Barred.
Man, No Holds Barred, I hate that it's part of Ventura's history because it's a stain that we can't wash off.
Like I'll sometimes like just editing or something, whenever there's an offhand remark, I think the longest reigning bit that pops me every time is how much you hate that movie. It's just so funny to me when we think about everything else we've done. But anyway, The Running Man coming up next. Julio, in the meantime, what do we got going on over on the Patreon?
Actually, before we get to the Patreon, Alex, in between this episode and The Running Man, we're going to have our next FERF number 10. And it's going to be a movie about an immigrant. And it's called The Namesake. Have you heard of The Namesake, starring Kal Penn?
I have not.
So I remember when it came out and it didn't make it to College Station. I just remember seeing the trailers and it never opened. And I remember it's based on a book. And I remember the book had, they re-released it with the movie poster as the cover. And so I was working at Barnes & Noble and I would walk past wherever the book was and there was Kal Penn walking towards me. It's fresh, 85%. Never seen it, always been curious about it. It's Kumar from Harold and Kumar in a serious movie. So
my God.
I'm finally crossing that off the list and you're playing along. So that will be on the main feed coming up soon. And then on the Patreon channel, as of this recording, we have a lot of cool stuff. The most recent thing is just this really silly short that I posted. I don't know if you saw it, Alex. I put it on Instagram too, it was just a tease of what our Rabbit post credits was. So of course, the post credits is out by now, but I found it really funny us talking about David Cronenberg suddenly realizing how silly his movie was. That was funny. I also put out cutting room floor stuff from all the way back to The Pope's Exorcist and The Apartment, but more importantly, also from our recent FERF recap with Jason. That was a really long episode to begin with, so I took out some stuff that was not 100% FERF related. Just mostly us talking about podcasting and just about ourselves. Overall, like 30 minutes of cutting room floor stuff. And we have the bonus Patreon episode for preparation for The Next Life. That movie that could have belonged on the FERF lineup, courtesy of Brandon Curtis. And then the After Hours for Blade Runner 2049 with Ryan as a guest star there. I have to keep pushing it because it's just so much fun for me to hear that rare instance where you and Ryan are teaming up against me. I think it's worth highlighting. Obviously, a lot more stuff in there. Just go to our Patreon channel, use the search button, or just scroll down our posts, patreon.com/Contrarian Prime. Join us at the Contrarian Supplements and support this show. And that's it, Alex. Let's get out of here.
Let's do it, Julio. Take care, y'all. Welcome to our end credits.
Or as we usually call them, our perennial plugs.
We start off by giving thanks to the Festive Years who provide our opening and closing tracks. They kick us off with Last Stand and take us home with Summer of 99. Be sure to head over to thefestiveyears.com for any and all Festive Years needs.
Our friend and fellow podcaster Hans Rothgieser is the man behind our logo and all the art you see related to our show. Reach out to him and let him know how much you like that little tomato. His email address is mildemonios@hotmail.com and his website is mildemonios.pe. That's MILDEMONIOS. Hans, thank you for all your support.
For those interested in the regularly absurd world of professional wrestling, Joe and the boys over at latenightgrin.com have you covered. Tell them the Contrarians sent you.
And we like to close with special thanks to our social media team of Zoe Perez and Corey Ari. Each of the social media accounts we mentioned in the introduction look as good as they do because of their work.
So that'll do it for this episode of The Contrarians, where we're right and you're wrong, and we will catch you next time.
Just for old time's sake, I really don't care who you're seeing or how much money he makes a year or who he knows.